From finally revealing the cast for the show and no one caring about it, to NCIS Red not moving forward because the CBS head back then was smart, here's why NCIS Sydney will flop. The franchise was created back in 2009 with its first spin-off NCIS Los Angeles, and since then fans haven't been able to get enough of the show. But after so many spin-offs, is that still the case? Let's find out. They've finally revealed the cast for the upcoming show, and guess what? This time around, the spin-off will be the franchise's first ever international debut. It'll be available in Australia on the streaming platform Paramount Plus and Network 10. And the show will also be shot in the country as well, so it's the first time the franchise is filming outside of the US. The show's producers have also selected the cast carefully, with DC's Legend of Tomorrow's actress Olivia Swan as Special Agent Michelle Mackey and Spartacus War of the Damned actor Todd Lassance playing the character of Sergeant Jim Dempsey. They didn't do so badly with the rest of the cast either. There's Sean Sagar from Guy Ritchie's The Covenant as NCIS Special Agent, Deshaun Jackson. Then in comes the Australian Federal Police, aka the AFP characters, with Tuli Narkle playing the role of a liaison officer between the US and Australian teams. Mae Vorney Hazel drops by as the forensic scientist, with Bluebird Blue Gleason as the forensic pathologist, and William McInnes as Dr. Roy Penrose. The show's storyline will have the US NCIS agents and the AFP working together to control naval crimes in the most challenging patch of the ocean on the planet. And while the Paramount and CBS heads are excited to bring the show to the viewers, the question is the casting, plot, and the show's first ever international debut enough to satisfy the fans? Because it doesn't look like it. Fans have shown their indifference to the upcoming show. One even tweeted saying that they don't even have Paramount Plus, and that the show's storyline doesn't interest them enough to watch it either. No fan's going to subscribe to the streaming platform just to watch the show, so the network trying to market this doesn't make any sense. Unless they've got some foolproof idea that'd make the show successful. Which, let's be honest, isn't the case either. The responses from the fans about the new show weren't enthusiastic at all. Instead, they were frustrated more than anything else. One fan even posted on Twitter saying, "Not again," and I wholeheartedly agree, but I'll get into that later. Another one predicted that the show will be a flop, as none of them were buying what the network was trying to sell through a female-dominated cast. And you guys got to admit, several shows have tried this gender inclusivity tactic before, only to fail. And the biggest example of that is Ocean's 8. Another factor that set off the backlash was the announcement that NCIS LA will be canceled after its 14th season. This was revealed to the fans in January 2023. And the reason given was that the costs going into producing the show were too high. The network was looking to do budget cuts and decided this one had to go. But this didn't sit well with the fans. And the news of another spin-off has just triggered NCIS lovers further. One fan tweeted, asking how they were able to gather money for the new one if they didn't have any for the current show, while another called this replacement of NCIS LA for NCIS Sydney horse shit, and oh, it gets worse. A fan even said that the network could have used the money to improve the quality of other spin-offs rather than trying to keep the numbers going by introducing new ones. You gotta agree, they've got a point. What's the use of coming up with a separate show when the ongoing ones aren't doing that well either? As for the viewership numbers, they're bound to decrease because all the spin-offs have the same old scripts, with the same old murder cases to solve that any crime show lover can easily predict. Not to mention that the other 4 other spin-offs are recreating the same thing. There's NCIS LA, New Orleans, Hawaii, and Red, and now the upcoming Sydney. So this has fans wondering, how many spin-offs will there be before it's considered too many? There's no denying that the franchise has become way too mainstream. While the shows aren't losing their popularity, the ratings have slowly gone down due to viewership fatigue, causing almost all of the shows to cancel after some time. The most popular out of all the NCIS spin-offs was the Los Angeles one, but none came close to the original, and that's a major concern now, when any network is launching a spin-off, that it'll always be compared. A fan said in a review that after Season 5 of Los Angeles, there was a lack of creativity in terms of the storyline, and people just stuck with it because it became a time pass. But come Season 9, the show introduced some really bad actors, and everything's been downhill since then. It didn't come as a surprise that it was canceled. The same problem caused the New Orleans cancellation after 7 seasons, except that cast was the worst when compared to all the other shows in the franchise. It was slammed for stereotyping Latinos and Black women, and was termed cringeworthy by the fans. Some said the writers and producers were slacking off as it went on because there was money coming in from the original show. The Hawaii spin-off started with a below-average cast as well. Fans were savage when it came to giving their opinions, and it wasn't uncalled for either. The actors were awful from the very first episode. It was as if the producers picked them out of the list of actors that other shows rejected. Not to mention, there was zero chemistry between the team members. For a show that's all about teamwork, it sure didn't cut it. And guess what? In this spin-off, they tried to sell the LGBTQ romance. I mean, it's like the same gender-inclusive tactic they're playing with NCIS Sydney, except that it's already been used and has flopped. You wouldn't believe it, but they canceled New Orleans only to create the Hawaii spin-off. Fans blamed the showrunners and predicted that the show wouldn't do well. It's like history is repeating itself with NCIS Sydney, only this time around, Los Angeles has been canceled to make up for it. Damn. Looks like the network needs to bring their A-game if they want the new spin-off to succeed, because from the looks of it, has failure written all over it. Even with Hawaii, there's no update on when Season 3 will be released, or if it will be at all. One thing's for sure though, the only thing that changes from one to the other is the location, with the effort to include socially accepted gender norms. And that's a recipe for disaster when looking at the history of the show. Fans slam the network for cutting epic shows like All Rise for the same old bullshit. Now that even the original NCIS is going from bad to worse, someone needs to tell the network to stop. It's clear that they've peaked their success with this franchise, and they've got to move on, but they're pushing it with the news about the upcoming show. Fans believe that the network is biting off more than it can chew. With the ongoing writers' strike, CBS doesn't have the chance to improve its NCIS or NCIS Hawaii, as their writing teams are part of the strike as well. But NCIS Sydney's isn't. So the network has a lot of time to make itself familiar with the concerns of the audience, as they're the ones that make or break the shows. The content produced is only successful if it's entertaining to the viewers, and while the previous shows have raked in a lot of ratings, it was mostly because the spin-off started as interesting. But as it's clear with Hawaii, the same situation will not be ideal for them. NCIS Red didn't move forward because the CBS head back then was smart about it. Nina Tesler, CBS's then president of entertainment, said that she didn't back up the decision for the spin-off, as protecting the franchise was more crucial to her than releasing spin-off after spin-off. She said that the chances of success aren't all that great when it comes to it. And looking back at the 2 episodes it did make, the response from the audience wasn't great because casting was a major problem then too. The network will be able to see the problems if they look close enough. But rather than working out a solution or making peace with the end, they keep throwing money as if it had magically produced better content. Marvel did that with Thor: Love and Thunder, and look where that got them. So, from NCIS Red not moving forward because the CBS head back then was smart, to finally revealing the cast for the upcoming show, that's all I've got on why NCIS Sydney will flop.